Have you ever wondered how a top website makes techniques that make them stand out? Well, on today's video, we're going to talk about talk editions and how they made this panable layout. So as we move our mouse around the page, what we'll see is the whole layout shifts around. And when we hover different books, the title appears. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how this was made. So firstly, we're going to start from somewhere. So what I've done is I've quickly made some HTML and CSS to basically set up a kind of very basic version of this. So let's have a look at what I've done. So in my index.html, I've got a fairly standard setup. I've got a body tag with a h1 in here, which is the text that's over everything at the moment. And then a section with basically a link with 15 images. So we've got this link with an image, all the way down here, and we end with the section tag. So just one section and one bit of text and a lot of images. So this is kind of what we have. Then what I've done in my style sheet is, if we have a quick look at our style.css, I've got my typography in here. I've got some colors in here as well. I've set some things up, like I've got this like grid in the background using a linear gradient. I've got some background colors as well, which I'll use a little bit later. And then in the section itself, what I've done is I've made this position fixed, top, left 0, 0, and I've given it a width and a height, which basically is the entire canvas of this. And what we can do is, if we just zoom this out a little bit, you can see what I've done here. So I've just zoomed it out really far, and basically I've got this 5 by 3. And what I kind of want to do is, when I move my cursor around, instead of it being zoomed out, what I want to do is move this whole section around. So I want to take this section and essentially change its top and left position. In here as well, I've just got some basic stuff. So here I've got some things just to lay it out in the center. I've given it some box shadows when we do hovers a little bit later. And I've got my H1, which is position fixed over the entire page. So kind of a fairly basic layout, except at the moment, it kind of looks like a grid. But if I just make this a little bit smaller, basically this grid is going off the edge here and down here. So what we want to do is, essentially, when I move my cursor around the page, what I want to do is shift this section around. So how do we go about doing this? Well, what we'll need is a little bit of JavaScript. The reason we need some JavaScript is, well, we want some user interaction going on here. So when I move my cursor over here, basically the browser knows I need to move this section and basically do the math for that. So how do we go about this? Well, first thing I need to do is make a script. So in my code, what I'm going to do is make a new file called pan.js, because this is going to be all the code to do with panning around. And what I want to do is some code in here in a minute, but what I want to do is hook it up to my index.html. So what I'm going to do at the bottom, after I've done my section tag, I'm going to make a script tag, and the script has a source, src, equal to, in quotes, pan.js. So this basically links this file up with that pan.js, which currently is empty. So what do I need as part of my script? Well, let's pick what we need from this. What I want to do is, when I move my mouse around the entire page, what I want to do is pick this section tag up here and move it around. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually just pick that section tag. So let's do a const called section. And this is going to be equal to something in my document dot query selector. And we're going to select something in the page. What do we want to select? Well, in quotes, we want to do the section. Now, of course, if we had a particular section with a class of pan, we could add that in there with .pan, but we just have one section, so that's all we need right now. Now this selects the section, but what I want to do is move things around. Now what I'm going to do is make a function below this, and I'm going to give that a name. So a const move. And what we're going to do is make this equal to not a document query selector. Instead, we're going to make it equal to a function. Function looks like this. So we have some round brackets, an arrow, and some curly brackets. Basically, it says, do this thing in the curly brackets. So what I want in here is basically the calculation of where it should move to. But at the moment, this move doesn't do anything. Basically, it never runs. So what we want to do is make it run when we move the mouse around the page. The page in JavaScript is called a document, and what we want to do is listen out for any mouse movement. So below this, what I'm going to do is set that up. So document dot add event listener, and what we want to do is run this when our code starts. And what we want to run is listen out for what? Well, we have a list of all these things. We want to do the mouse move. And what do we want to do on mouse move? Well, I want to run this function called move. So I'm going to do a comma and then move. So let's save that and let's see what happens. Well, what should happen at the moment is nothing because nothing happens in here. And what we can see, if I refresh, nothing happens. So what do we want to do in here? Well, what I want to do is basically say, well, this section should move. What should happen to this section? Well, I want to move it around. There's two ways to do this. One would be to change its top and left position, or we can add a transform in as well. Now, I like to add in a transform just because it looks a little bit smoother, it looks more professional. So what we want to do in here is something like this. We want to pick the section, and we want to change its style. What do we want to pick in its style? It's transform. And let's just make it equal to something right now. Let's make this equal to what? Well, let's just shift it over by maybe like 200 pixels. Now I'm going to put this in backticks because I want to put eventually some variables in here because it depends on where I am on a page. So here I'm going to do some backticks, and in here I'm going to write translate and then round brackets. Let's do minus 200, comma, minus 200. So minus 200 one way, which is kind of left, and up. So let's save that now and let's see what happens. So if I refresh the page, as soon as I move the mouse, everything shifts 200 pixels one way and 200 pixels the other way. Now, of course, what I want to do is change these numbers eventually. And the reason I use minus because I want to shift them across and up. So what we want to do is basically work out where we are on the page. Now, at the moment, there isn't a way to do this, but what we can do is quickly add into our move event. Because we're using an add event listener, we can pass in the event itself to say, where is the mouse right now? So let's just do that. So let's put in here, event. So in the round brackets, we're going to pass in the event. And what we can do in our curly brackets is then work out where it should be. So how do we do this? Well, what I can do is get the events page X and the events page Y, basically where am I on the page. So let's just pick that for now. So what we want to do is get a constant, and let's call this where the current X is. And this is going to be equal to the events.page X. What we want to do as well is get the Y. So with this current Y, event.page Y, and again, this is going to give us a coordinate from the top left corner. But what we want to do is basically use current X and current Y in here instead. So what I'm going to do is get rid of minus 200. I'm going to keep px, by the way, because I want to do this in pixels, and use a $sign, curly bracket, and put in current X, and then close curly bracket. I'm going to do the same thing for minus 200 on the other one. So curly $sign, curly bracket, current Y, and close curly bracket. So let's see what happens now. So if I refresh, what we'll see is this almost like is tied to where the mouse position is, which kind of makes sense if you think about it. If I'm in the top corner, it's in the right position. And if I shift 200 pixels this way, it's going 200 pixels to the right and down. So what I want to do is take the current X and move it the other way. So what we can do in our curly brackets here is say -1 times this number, and then -1 times this number. So let's see if this works. So we're going to save it now and refresh. And what we'll get now is this kind of goes in the correct way. So what we can see now is this is panning like we expect, but there's a little bit of a problem. Now, what is the problem here? Well, what we want to do is if we go over here, it almost goes too far. And I can't get down to this bottom area as well. We're not really taking into consideration how wide and tall the section is itself. Because if I'm down here, I can't get any further down. What happens if this section tag was really long? Then I'll never be able to get to the bottom. I can only do things based on how wide the window is. So what I want to do is basically get a percentage of like where I am across the page, up and down. So we're just going to quickly go back and change this current X and current Y. What we want to do is get the current X as a percentage of the entire width of the window. So here what we're going to say is let's divide this by the window inner width. And let's divide this one by the window inner height. So this is going to give me a percentage of where I am across rather than the pixel value. This is going to be very small right now because this is going to be between 1 and 0 and 1. So we won't see any major movement if we go back. So if I go back, there's a very slight, and it's very, very slight, 1 pixel difference between here and here. Here we're at 0, 0, in this bottom corner at 1, 1. And basically this is kind of doing a percentage. But we don't want to just do a percentage, we want to do pixels. We have this in our code as px. So what we want to do is not just get this, but also calculate where this whole section should move to. So what I'm going to do is add in basically a calculation. How big is the area that I want to look over? Basically, how big is the section? So here, what I'm going to do is something like, let's call it SX. I won't say sexy, but let's do it. So this is going to be the section width. So let's get the section dot client width, because this is how far across in the X direction, and SY is the section dot client height. The reason we're picking this is because we want to pick how wide the section is itself and then do a percentage as we move. So we've got the percentage, we just need to work out how big that percentage is times by. So what I can do now is use this SX and SY in my calculations. So here what I'm going to do is times this by not just current X, but also SX times this, and then SY times this as well. So let's see how this looks. So if we go back, what we'll see now is if this kind of looks correct, but there's some problem. This is going too far. Now, why is this going too far? Well, technically this is using the section's top left position. So if I go down here all the way to the bottom, what you'll notice is the section itself is just kind of off. So what I want to do is basically account for not just the whole section, but also how wide the window is itself as well. Because if I'm down here, I want to just remove this kind of how wide the window is basically. So what I'm going to do is just account for the window size itself. So here on SX, I'm going to minus the window's inner width and minus the window's inner height. Because basically what I'm doing is I'm shifting the left and the top left position around, but here what I want is the bottom right as well. And this kind of looks a lot better now. So what we have is this panable window, and this looks pretty correct. But of course, there's a few things wrong with this. What we can see on the Tall Conditions website is this feels very smooth if I kind of move around. So what we're going to talk about next is how we stop it almost like snapping to the mouse. So at the moment on the Torque Edition site, this looks very smooth, but on ours, it snaps basically to where the mouse is, so it feels very jerky. So what we want to do is add something called tweening. Tweening is basically going between states. So what we want to do in our code, at the moment, this is constantly moving. Move runs every single time we do mouse move. But what we want to do is essentially position this not instantly, but over time. So we have some between states. So what we're going to do is actually use this current X and current Y and basically kind of have this going towards an aim. Where is the mouse aiming to be? Or where should the section aim to be instead? So we're going to add something up here, and this is going to be called a let. Now, let is something that can change. Const is something that stays the same. Something that's constant is something that always stays the same. But for now, we're going to let an aim X equal to 0.5. We want to start in the middle. So aim Y is also going to be 0.5. But what we want to do is have this aim and where it currently is. Where is the section currently? Where should it be positioned right now? And where is the mouse? So aim X is like where the mouse is, and current X is where the section is. So we're also going to add in a let current X. And to begin, we want to start this in the middle as well. So current Y is also 0.5. But what you can see right now is we have a current X and current Y. And this is basically doing the positioning of the actual section itself. So let's just get rid of the const, because what we're going to do is let this be updated every single time we run the frame of the page, not when we just move the mouse. When we move the mouse, what we actually want to do is say, well, this is where we should be aiming towards now. And then move is going to be, well, we'll go towards that over time. So we want to split up our function into two things. We're going to make a new function in here. I'm just going to call it move for now, and I'm going to rename my other one in a sec. Move, event, and let's do this. Now let's complain at the moment. Let's rename this to tween. Tween is basically going to do the thing like animates. So we're going to move our mouse, but what we want to do is have this going towards an aim. So how do we do this? Now, I'm going to use some of this code in my tween and basically add it in here instead and update things as we need to. So when I move my mouse, I want to aim towards this, not be there instantly, which is what we have right now. So I'm going to have my aim x equal to kind of what we have here, the page event event.pageX divide by window.innerWidth, and aim y is equal to page y window.innerHeight. Basically this line and this line here. But what I want to do with my current x and current y isn't basically go straight there. I want to use the calculation and kind of go slightly towards this every single frame of the page. So what we're going to do is get rid of this line and this line. And instead, what I want to do is say, I want to kind of go towards this. So what I'm going to do is take the current x position and then basically add a little step towards where we're currently going. So the new version of current x, every single frame, is the old current x plus a little bit of the way towards where the aim is. So we're going to get the aim x and remove the current x because we're trying to get a little bit towards the difference between the two. And let's just times that by a small number, 0.05. We're going to do the same thing below, current y plus aim y minus current y. And we're also going to times this by the same number as well. So what we're trying to do is when we move the mouse up to the top corner, our frame is currently in a different position and we're going to get there even over a little bit of time. That's kind of what we're trying to do. But at the moment, this tween function never runs because tween isn't called ever. So what we're going to do is just call this when we start. So let's do tween and then just run this function to begin with. But then what we need to do is run this every single frame of the page. So when this is done, I want to say, queue me up for the next frame. If I'm running at 60 frames a second, run me 60 times a second. So at the end of my function, what I'm going to do is add in a request animation frame. And what I want to run is tween yet again. So I'm setting up tween, and this will run this code, and then it will wait for the next frame to come along, and then run this code, and then run and run and run over and over again. So if I save now, what we'll get is something that looks like this. We'll see this being a lot smoother. So if I move my mouse quickly over to different bits of the page, we're using this tween effect. It's not snapping anymore. So what I've done here is basically set up a tween. Here what I'm doing is this is where my mouse position is. And then what I'm doing is saying, where is my section currently? And then add a little bit towards where the mouse is, or where it should be aiming towards. And let's just change that to be a little bit smaller. So I'm getting step there and getting closer and closer. If I change this number to something smaller, so 0.01, and refresh, this is a lot slower, as we can see here. If I make this something that's higher, something like 0.2, 0.2, this is going to feel like it snaps a little bit closer. So you can play around with some of these numbers and we get this tweening effect here as well. So another key part of this website is this hover effect. So when I hover over one of the links or one of the images, what I get is the text change. Now, technically this isn't a part of the panning layout because I could do this without it panning around. If this doesn't move, I could still have this technique, right? So what we're going to do is add this as a separate script altogether. Anything that we hover, we want to change this text. So we're going to make a new script. And this I'm going to call titles, maybe titles.js. Now here, again, we're not hooking this up to my index.html at the moment, so I'm just going to go down and add this in. So I'm going to add another script tag in here with the source of titles.js. So let's pick and choose what we need from our HTML. What I want to do is update this h1 with something on this link in here. So what I need from here is basically my links. There's a lot of them, there's 15 of them, and I need to pick this h1. So on titles.js, what am I going to pick? Well, let's pick a const called the title, and this is in my document. And let's pick from a query selector, I want to pick that h1. So this picks the title that's kind of over everything at the moment. But what I also want is basically these links as well. So I'm going to add a const called the links, and this is going to be equal to a document. which is the page. But then I don't want just one thing. Actually want all of them. There's 15. So I want to do a query selector all. What do I want to get in here? Well, all the sections space A. Similar to what I do in the style sheet, I do section space A to select all the links in that section tag. Now, what do I want to do with these links? Well, what I want to do is update this title on hover. Now, there isn't a hover in JavaScript, but we can do things like mouse enter and mouse leave as well. But what I want to do is for this every single link. So I want to add a loop so every single link works independently. So links dot for each. For every single link, I want to do something. What do I want to do in here? Well, let's run this using round brackets, and then let's put in a function. So the function here is round brackets again, and then arrow and curly brackets. What I can also do in here is pass in each individual link so I know which one I'm talking about, and I can give this a name. So I'm going to call this one link. And this is just how for each works, by the way. What do I want to do? Well, I want to run some code. I've got these curly brackets. Let's just open it up to make it a little bit easier to read. So for each individual link, I want to do something. What do I want to do? Something on an event. So link.add event listener. Now I can't do this with like links.add event listener because it's an array, it's multiple ones. I want to do this for a single link. I want to run this, and what I want to listen out for is mouse enter. So when the mouse enters this link, what do I want to do? Well, what I want to do is run another function. So round brackets, arrow, curly brackets. And what I want to do in here is basically update the title. For now, what I'm going to do is just say title is going to update to something. So I'm going to open up these curly brackets. Watch out for this kind of round bracket at the end. This is actually part of the add event listener. And I'm just going to quickly update the title. And what I want to change is its inner. Well, I could change the HTML. I can just change it as text. Let's just do text for now. And this is going to be equal to this was hovered, which of course is not actually what we want, but we'll change it a little bit later. Let's save that and let's see if it works. So let's go to our site, and what we see, as soon as I hovered, and I'm going to refresh, as soon as I hover, the text will change to this was hovered. However, if I hover away, this is hovered is still there. So what we can do is get rid of that. What I need to do is, if I want to move away from this link, is I want to listen out for a different event. So in my for each, but outside of my event listener, I'm going to make another bit of code. So link.add event listener. Here, what I want to listen out for is not mouse enter, but mouse leave. What do I want to do on mouse leave is, well, I want to run some code. So here, I'm going to run a function. So round brackets, arrow, curly brackets. And what I want to do is change that title back. So title.inner text is equal to talk. So let's see if this works. Let's reset that. So this is hovered, and then we go away. Hovered, go away. Hovered, go away. Now, of course, we don't need to always say this was hovered because that's not particularly interesting. But what we can do is add something to my HTML to basically change that text. So what do I want to do here? Well, what I can say is maybe there's some secret text in my HTML that says, well, this is what the title should be. So let's just quickly look at the index.html. We have an alt tag in here, but this could be something like photo of a model. So I might not want to use this. So what I might want to do is add our own special attribute. So here on my link, and I'm doing this using my my selector, I can add in just a secret one using this data dash something. Now for me, I'm going to call this data dot dash title, and this is going to be equal to, the first one is called Amelia. So here I'm doing data dash title is Amelia. And what I want to do is pull this Amelia thing into my code. And I'm just going to quickly do this for all of them. There we go. So just done them for every single one, all 15 of them. And what we can do now is use the data dash title in my code. So rather than this was hovered, what I can do is look at a link and then get this out of my actual link itself. So instead of this was hovered, I'm going to replace this. Something on the link itself is called get attribute. What do I want to listen out for with get attribute? Well, there's data dash title. We've called it data dash title. Anything with data dash something that's a kind of valid bit of HTML. Could be data dash potato or orange, doesn't really matter. Title makes sense here, so let's keep it as is. So let's see if this works. So now what I get is this one is Priya, this one is Clara, this one is Ethan, and we can see this works for every single one. So one thing on the Talks Editions website is if we hover on one of the images or one of the links, basically everything else fades out. So how do we go about making this? We've got the text working, but we haven't got everything else fading out. Everything just stays as it was. So what we can do is add that in very easily. Now I've added a bit of CSS to do this already. Not everything, but let's have a look. So on my style.css, what I've got in here is basically my body has a hovered state. And this hover state basically fades out all the images, apart from any link which also has a class of hovered as well. So what we're going to do is just quickly add this in. On the body tag, I want everything to be faded out, except for the one that I'm talking about. So back on titles.js, what I'm also going to pick is not just the h1 and section, but also the body itself. So body is equal to document, query, selector, and then the body itself. So what I want to do on mouse enter is quickly add that class of hovered to the whole body. So here on body, in its class list, I want to add a one called hovered. And let's see how this works. So again, let's save and refresh. And we can see that if I hover, everything fades out, which is of course not really what we want. Now let's make this fade back in when I hover away. So quickly, let's just add that in on mouse leave in this below my talk going back to normal. I'm going to do the body class list dot remove. We want to remove the hovered state. So let's save and let's see if this works. So here what we've got is this fades everything out until we go away. And all this is doing is adding a class to the whole body. Basically, if you look at the CSS again, all it's doing is this bit, but basically we haven't implemented this bit. So here, every image is 10% opacity. But what we need to do is add this hovered in as well. So we want to do this just for the link that we've hovered. This opacity stays the same, and it also scales and adds a box shadow. So here what we want to do is the same thing, but just on the link itself. So link class list, let's add hovered. And let's do the same thing when we hover away. So on the link class list, we'll remove that hovered state. Now, again, this is partly to do because we call this hovered here and hovered here. If this was something like, everything hovered and link hovered, then we just call them accordingly. So let's see if this works. So now what we see is Priya is the only one hovered. There's a box shadow and a scale on here as well. And what we can see is this looks really, really good. And what we've done this is just using a little bit of CSS and adding and removing a class on the body and link itself. So what we can also see on the Talk Edition site is if we hover different bits of imagery, we have different colors on things as well. So we've got things like in green, we've got some things in pink and purple and yellow. How would we go about doing this as well? Now, again, it's very similar to what we did with the text change. So if we look at our code, what I've done is I've quickly added in some classes. I've got yellow, green, and blue. Yellow, green, and blue, again, not great class names because obviously if we change yellow to red, then it doesn't make sense anymore, but let's just go with it for now. What I want to do is similar to what I've got with the titles. I've got the inner text change here, but what I want to do is basically get another attribute that's on each individual link and instead add it as a class instead of changing the text. So back on my index.html, let's just quickly add in something brand new. So maybe let's pick like Priya here and let's add in a new data dash, what should we call it? Color, maybe? Maybe something like theme or body. Let's call it color. So data dash color is equal to yellow. We're only going to do it for one right now. We'll add some more on in a minute. So we'll save it and let's go back to titles.js. Now, when we wanted to pick that thing, we wanted link.getAttribute data dash whatever it was. Here, what we've got is some text. So what I can say on the whole body, because this theme is on the body, is I want the bodies dot class list to not just add hovered, but also add in that new class that I just added. So let's add this and let's pick the links dot get attributes. And in round brackets, we're going to pick in the data dash color that we've just added in. So let's save that and see what happens. So if I find where Priya is, where is Priya in the middle, notice how it fades to yellow. However, if we fade away, it stays yellow. So let's just quickly remove that as well. So this should look fairly familiar to what we've got here. We're going to do body.classlist.remove, and let's pick that links get attributes, the thing we just added in our HTML, the data dash color. So now if I hover over Priya, it will go yellow. And if I hover away, it will go back to the kind of default color. And what we can start to do now is theme these up as we want. So notice here we've got body.green. This is just changing some CSS variables. So if I pick on titles, back in index.html, I can add data dash color. And maybe I want to do it on Julian, let's say. Data dash color. Let's add in that green color that we have in our CSS. So basically we're just hooking up HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Is that all of them? Yeah, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And we can see here that we can even change things like the background color as well. And we can change any part of the CSS variables. So here we've got yellow, here we've got green. There's also a blue in here, I think. So yep, there's a blue. Let's just quickly add one more in. So back on our index.html, what we can do is pick maybe this Clara, data dash color is blue. And where is Clara? There we go. It's going from kind of like dark blue to a bright blue. And what we can do is control this. And again, this could be something from a CMS. What we would do is just generate this stuff in a CMS with a title and a color. And if we don't have a color, it's the default. So what we can do here is add this kind of color effect in very easily. So there we have it. We've made a professional looking website very, very easily. We've got this tweenable, movable layout that looks like this. We can move around and it's very, very smooth. If we hover over any of these things, we can see the text change, and we can also hover out or kind of fade away everything else on this page as well. We've also got themable things as well. So we can change things to blue and yellow and then green as well. So if you like this video, please give it a like. If there's anything you'd like me to cover, please add it in the comments below, and I'll see you in another video very soon.